Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to almost said Resident Evil. Assassin's Creed Revelations. There's a Resident Evil Revelation too. Now, I had to exit out, so I don't believe I am quite where I was before. Or maybe I am exactly where I was before. Fine with me, I suppose. Just coming off of a 6-hour live stream in which I accidentally, due to an update in my recording software, it deselected the microphone and also the audio output, which is also my Blue Yeti microphone. So literally no game audio, no voice audio during that 6-hour stream, which is kind of insane because it says it got 22 views, and that means 22 people who watched that, some part of that, didn't bother to comment. In fact, people did get on and comment, and they still didn't tell me they couldn't hear anything, and that's insane. I suppose it is also, we've just proven it's insane to hire a ferry unless you're just rolling in cash and could not care one bit about wasting a few dollars. I'm not sure how committed I really have to be in this game about saving time. If anything, Revelations might be the one Assassin's Creed game you want to play all the way through and try and get all of the Animus cores in, just because you know it's not going to be anywhere as demanding as some of the previous games in the series. That being said, once you hit Black Flag, you may not have any collectibles or very many collectibles at all. I believe there might be sea shanties that you collect in Black Flag, if I'm recalling correctly, and that might work in a completely different way. Alright. So there's shops already unlocked on this island, but then there's some shops that aren't unlocked. And then there's an assassin's den, which may or may not be our goal. It may just be that the assassin's den is always marked in such a way that it looks like it's a good direction to go. And there's nothing unlocking the shortcuts. So if I wanted to probably use that shortcut to get to the assassin's den, it would work rather well, I imagine. We may find that this section is more restricted, although in all honesty, it looks more like it's just kind of walled off. There definitely is a problem right now because I just don't know what... I can't believe I survived that. I don't know what city I'm in. And it looks so much like the previous cities that Ezio has been in. There's no big change here. Of course, you'll get to Assassin's Creed 3 and then you're in colonial North America, United States, and all of the architecture and things then start to look different. Clearly Ubisoft, over the course of what was probably more than a decade, learned that they can't get away with releasing extremely similar games every year. They've sort of learned that lesson. Uh, However, other companies in the video game world still are in 2018 trying to get away with such actions. Pigeons indicate a leap of faith. Good to know. I do have a slight concern with... Let's go to this bookshop and see if we can... what we can buy and if we can afford anything. Yeah, I just don't think there's a smart move in how this is all set up. These are all the same books, so I could buy one and I can buy another. One assumes that buying books increases your value, but the game didn't even bother to tell me that. There you go. Do my slight animation to heal. I just saw that in Assassin's Creed Origins they have the Egyptian characters always pretending or acting like they have a toothache because of all the sand that they would have been eating. I don't know about these treasure maps though. Yeah, at the end of the day they'll save me some time, I imagine, but I'm not sure they're gonna show me the elements I'd really like to see, which are the
like a rabid monkey.
Which are the animus cores. And there's so much of this. Assassin signal. Hey, we can call an assassin apparently. Let's see what they do. Here we are in a kind of well guarded area, and because of that, like, there was some major struggle there. Good thing I remembered the right button to press. Let's loot this guy for a nice 1,000. How much will these characters be holding on to? Well, some medicine. I don't want to carry bodies or...
A body. There's blood from Antonio.
It's kind of funny, we've had so many games in the Assassin's Creed series, and we've never had the assassin pretend to be a guard or an inspector or anything that would give him any authority to search the bodies and in any other way be above suspicion. There's a guy.
Please God, let me live. Please God.
Like, why was that guy labeled? Like, I'm not even sure why that guy was labeled. It didn't increase nor decrease my level of heat on me. It is very Grand Theft Auto-ish, I imagine. It's like, I don't think that was a issue at all in the first game. It's been a long time now. It's been probably 2 years in real time since I started to replay the Assassin's Creed series. And trying to remember what would have been in Assassin's Creed 1 is pretty difficult. But I don't believe you did. I think 2 introduced the heat thing with the posters. Because, yeah, it had to, because there were no posters in 1. I can recall that clearly. And without posters, the heat mechanic doesn't work very well. See this game for a good example of that. On the other hand, with posters, you end up spending a lot of time tearing down posters. But they didn't fix the game by removing the posters either. If heat increased on me at a much slower rate. Is this something? Or is that nothing? Like, it would make sense then to get rid of the posters. They would then bribing a herald every now and then would be fine. If we ever get into the mini game where we manage assassins, which you very well may not in this game, I'd be alright with doing some missions that would reduce heat on me. But at the moment I can't do that, so do I purchase this bookstore? One assumes that in buying the bookstores we will get a discount.
Despite current political differences, I have some works from the New Testament.
Treasure maps. And I can't buy any more books.
Excellent. Most satisfactory.
Alright. So this should help me, I think. We see all over in this section tons of little things. This is the Imperial District. This is the Galata District, so I should have purchased the Galata District map first. Oh well. This is an empty faction building which we can't afford to fill right now. This is a bank. If I go here, let's just go for this one. You're seeing a classic issue with these types of cities, and this is from Assassin's Creed 1. Pretty much never used again. Not if you actually know what you're doing. See, I've got to find a way across.
The killing must stop. We, the proud citizens of Istanbul, must band together with the stewards, root out the madmen and kill them. Istanbul
Now we're closer to this, so I might as well come over here and try and collect it. putting things rather close to each other. Find a way over the wall. Here's one. I'll just look over there to make sure.
Come, be healed.
Let's see, here we've got a store. Boy, did that take longer than it should have to get into this. Fast acting poison upgrade, we're not going to purchase that anytime soon. And bomb quality ingredients, we're not going to purchase that anytime soon.
Gangrene sets in.
And I just wanted to do that to make sure I was certain.
Giving is the greatest reward.
I'm only visiting. I don't know what's going on.
Keep my head down. My deflection has not worked in months.
Oh, these beggars are annoying. I know that's the point of them being in the game, but they don't add anything to it. Yeah, I wanted to get back to the multi-leveled idea of cities in Assassin's Creed. I didn't articulate myself very well there. Like, you have these buildings that effectively have like a single height or a double height or a triple height. And then there are special circumstances, most definitely, of buildings that are really, really tall, but usually those are just towers, and they are far enough that they are completely separated from the rest of the buildings around them. That way you have to puzzle and work your way around how you climb those towers. So that's all fine and dandy. It just kind of makes no sense that it is that way. It adds nothing to the game. Like, you don't feel, at the very least, like you're getting anything because a building is 3 times 3 heights tall. Any more than if it was all 1 height tall. I imagine it does a little bit to help you climb in places, but most of the buildings have a they have something you can climb on anyways. So here's a building. I could climb on all those windows to get to the 3 heights tall. Here's an archway that's 1 height tall. That it doesn't really change much. I suppose the buildings themselves would start to feel very blocky and Minecraft-like if you didn't have these kind of variety. I don't even really need the map, do I? Like, most of this is coming straight to just wandering around. I'm gonna buy certain maps and almost certainly have already found most, if not all, the treasure chests. Can I afford this? This needs 27,000 assassin bucks. I assume. I don't know what the A is supposed to even pretend like it is. So
I'll do exactly as I see fit. If you don't like it, you better have the metal to challenge these fists hiding behind the hood, huh?
am I supposed to punch this guy? Well, we did have missions in Brotherhood where we were supposed to beat up, like, abusive, cheating husbands. And so maybe that's what I just did, was do a boxing mission effectively. But usually there was a character that would talk to you, and I really have to eat my words, I guess, on some of my criticisms on Brotherhood, when characters would run up to you and say, help me, I've been robbed, and then you would chase after the robber, really for no reason. At least in that game, at least in Brotherhood, which is beloved compared to this game, which is never mentioned, they paid somebody to do some voice acting. Hey, that glitches. That glitch was there for a second, but whatever. I think this game does have some major glitches anyways. Like these outfits are still getting marked as new, and I think all the blackness in the background is not intentional. So we're just kind of working our way to buildings to purchase them. The more I purchase, the quicker, the more I'll get money in the long run.
By the damnable acts of the assassin brotherhood, we must work together to bring about.
Okay, we'll bribe a herald. And that takes only a quarter of Templar awareness away, which is ridiculous. Speaking of ridiculous, building a fire on the mural. Very interesting. I'm not sure we're ever going to get a flag or cape in this game that would make me always safe and not attacked by guards. I have a decent amount of money. Yeah, I don't feel like I should be fading to black there. That seems like a glitch.
Come forward. Take your health seriously, good folks.
Maybe the storyline here is intentionally talking about glitches because they knew this game was going to be glitchy. I mean, it certainly wasn't 100% bug-free even on the consoles, from what I recall. But I think it is worse by far on PC, and worse by far on my current PC running Windows 10. Let's see. Can we speak to this banker and withdraw any money? No. Let's see. When is the next payout? There's... let's see. A small selection of maybe 20 landmarks. It's very strange that they added assassins to this. And this is a memory start. And I'm just not ready to start memories. So let's see if we can go do this. Like, the thing is, by starting a memory, I very possibly could spend 20 minutes in that memory. And I would like to I can get away with it, spend that 20 minutes. Earning as much as possible. Let's see, this is... I think the Great Chain. Well, I know it's a Great Chain because it just said it was. Which is a chain that they pulled up to block, block invading ships from entering the harbor. And there's my deposit. And at a certain point in the storyline, we will have a reason to come here. However, right now, I don't. And no telling how far out I could swim. In Brotherhood, when there was an area you couldn't go any further, it was... you would just kind of hit a current that would push you back. Here, you're seeing a lot of boats and things there. Which kind of makes me wonder, can I swim that direction, or is that just facade? In the lower right hand corner we have an indicator that's counting down how close we are getting to our target. So we're swimming somewhat closer to our target. Alright. Here's the wall. And it's kind of appropriate that it would be a memory wall, wouldn't it be? Isn't that also the first time we've seen the memory effect brightly lit and white instead of black? Now we've already been in this area and found it to be not as hostile as it seems like it could be. That being said, I'm not certain I can... I don't think I can just find a nice rock to climb up on over here. I may have to swim back and around. We saw this in Brotherhood also. There was a specific place that was surrounded on nearly every side by water, and the entrances were pretty programmed out. It doesn't make a lot of sense that rocks would block an assassin's path when we've seen assassins climb their way through every other obstacle. That's a problem with a game attempting to promise the ability to parkour and climb over everything, is you can you have to establish some sort of rules for places that you can't let the player go, or you have to think very creatively. It probably wouldn't have been a terrible thought if you could just climb everywhere and have strong enough guards in certain areas that, say, you could speedrun all of Assassin's Creed games by climbing to the final location. That doesn't look like that's something I can reach. And then, if you're really, really good at fighting, you could then fight your way through. Most players would probably not find that speedrun tactic. Oddly, I don't think I've ever seen anybody speedrun an Assassin's Creed game. Probably because it's pretty boring and pretty long, with no real strategy to speed it up over just playing really well. Since it's such a linear story experience. Or in a restricted area. And yet nobody seems to really care. Like, maybe this guy will care. Do you care? No, you don't care. One assumes that there was, at the very least, going to be story around these sections and areas. If there isn't story, I guess. In this instance, I have to go up. And this is why it makes sense to buy the maps. So you have a reason to go to places and collect things. If I was in the middle of a mission and chasing after a Templar captain, that would be the worst time to work my way around these areas. I guess I shouldn't use parachutes too much. I'm not sure though how I can get down here quickly. Let's just drop. It seems like compared to my armor in Brotherhood, I'm pretty fall resistant. But I am also wearing a special outfit that honestly I don't think the outfit is supposed to reduce any of the damage you take though when you fall. I think it is just an appearance thing. Right. I'm right on the edge. Well, I know this is the Sultan's castle I'm robbing. We have heard in the story that the Sultan is not around enough. So that would be slightly believable. So many names for kings. So many different terms, all to mean. And see, there's like a restricted section. It's like one section's restricted, the other section is really restricted. Where are you hiding? Must be under this alcove. And there's another one over here. I wonder if maybe you're just in general kind of safe until you start a memory. That'd be a certainly a different way to run an Assassin's Creed game. I almost certainly can't afford that, and let's see, how do we want to do this? Let's try... I need to go to a bank to get money because they deposited more money. If I go this way, I kind of need to go back this way.
It's a fantastic spectacle.
Remember when people used to scream and call you a madman when you would jump around like this and like avoid you? Now they're like, oh, you're just a great circus performer. We love it when you do your crazy jumping around. There's not even a high level of...
Give them the reward they deserve.
Must become anonymous. And because I'm not anonymous. And as soon as you get out of that circle, go back to being anonymous. Although Templar notoriety is still high. I really don't think I can afford to bribe the...
Fortune smile upon our continued business.
Like, I don't think I can afford to bribe heralds at this time. So I'm kind of stuck with just waiting until an assassin sneaks up behind me and tries to stab me in the back and countering. One assumes if I fail the counter, it will only hurt me and not completely kill me. But I could be wrong about that. With this being the third game in the series, well, it's actually the fourth game in the series, but it's the third game in the series to have the idea of purchasing storefronts and revitalizing a city. Imagine spending over the course of 2 to 3 years 180 hours doing the same thing over and over again. It's games like this in particular that fed into probably a pre-existing obsessive compulsive disorder that I jokingly say I have. I don't know if it's actually to the level of an actual disorder, but there is certainly an obsessiveness that was fed into by games like this, and I think in Assassin's Creed Thieves 3 you stop doing this mechanic, and I'm glad for it. Thieves, Mercenary, or Romanis. Honestly, I don't think I need any of them, so let's just take Romanis, who are the replacement for the courtesans. If anything, I'd say the Romanis are a breath of color, and where there's some pretty drab and repeated outfits otherwise. A lot of green going on. lot of yellow. Alright. So we've got this. And this. And this. And this. I guess I'm working my way towards some of this, or towards this. Like, my thought is we may very well find that I can't go any further in certain directions until I start a memory. Or, you know, I might be able to liberate and rebuild this entire city and do all that before the game even requires me to move one more memory block forward. We may just be out of the point where anything matters, since they assume you've already done this style of gameplay 2 other times. You'd be a real fool to have not played the Assassin's Creed 2 or Brotherhood and just jumped into this. And there definitely was in Assassin's Creed 2 a section that looked very much like this, a bazaar. And I get these weird feelings that, or maybe it wasn't in Assassin's Creed 2, maybe it was actually in Assassin's Creed 1. Like, maybe I am wandering around the same map that's just been slightly updated. Like the camera was fighting me there because I was trying to move the camera, so was the game. Yeah, that could be the actual thing that's happening here. Is I might just be running around the same map relatively, or some of the same map. But if that is true, it doesn't really change too much. I think you run into problems if you try to reintroduce levels from previous games without introducing some ingenious way to speed up gameplay. My suggestion would heavily be that what they should do is just have the important memories in a remastered version and a greatest hit element. Get rid of all the side missions, get rid of anything that even begins to, let's see, let's just get some of those. Like, there's only 2 more books to purchase even right now at all. The concept of this bazaar sort of makes sense, but in its actual implementation, it's nothing really special. And it certainly would stink if I had to make a special effort to print out like a map or something to get all the data fragments. Really, all of these levels are wastes of effort, and Ubisoft failed to really use this stuff in a way that would make more sense. Because think for a second, if they were making a game, if they were making Watch Dogs first, which is effectively Assassin's Creed in the present day with hacking and guns and things that changed how the game plays a pretty decent amount. But if you were making that Watch Dogs first, you're making cities like Chicago, San Francisco, Manhattan. Manhattan alone, if you do exquisite artistic detail for
Moving like the wind.
For designing that city, which frankly, yeah, Manhattan, if you're doing a one-to-one scale development of Manhattan, it's going to be a mess. That being said, TT Games made a Manhattan for Lego Avengers, or Lego Marvel Superheroes. I'm not sure which one it was actually. I think it was Marvel Superheroes. That asset, having that city, unfog the map to reach a high point of synchronization. Like those environmental 3D world maps. Somebody coming to assassinate me? I heard the music, but nobody showed up. Interesting. Is the game teasing me? It says there's a chest somewhere here, right where I am. These maps are not, the mini map's not very helpful sometimes. Let's just go to the synchronization point and kind of find out what we can do and what we can't do. If I can continue to synchronize, then we're good. We can run around the entire city with apparently nobody to heavily challenge us. Synchronize, unlock the buildings, do all of the kind of laid back stuff before we even do a memory, which I don't think I particularly want to play the game that way. Let's be honest. We should try to be more varied in our gameplay, making tactics. While it might be the most strategic path to try to save up, get as much money as possible, it's also going to be the most boring path. Let's see, can I purchase this? Not right now. There definitely was something in Assassin's Creed 2 like this in Rome, but I don't feel like I'm in Rome. There was definitely a bazaar like we walked through in Assassin's Creed 1, but I don't think I'm in Assassin's Creed 1. I think they really just took a... Did I turn multi-sampling back on the graphics? No, it's off. It just sometimes still shows up. Jumps like this used to be really hard and very much something that you had to struggle with it was part of the gameplay. Nowadays, it's kind of nothing. Falls are nothing, jumps are nothing. The only thing I'm struggling with is to find where the element is I need to synchronize on. It's more of a game of hide and seek, which isn't even that well hidden or intentionally hidden at all because they're putting the eagle. Not that the eagle has ever helped me find a synchronization point at all. It's yet another underutilized asset of the game. Alright, so what are we learning? There's a viewpoint this way, and let's look at Templar influence. So on the map there's some buildings with some Templar influence, yes, but then there also are the sync points, and I can't purchase anything until I remove that influence. Okay. I'm gonna end up buying a bunch of parachutes, I know I am. Now the first game did certainly have an element to it built around finding the Templars who were working under the Master Templar and killing them before you could take out the head Templar guy. They never really came back to that as a concept. How long do I have to stay here? Actually, I don't think I ever. Use your eagle vision to identify the guy in charge. You've located the guy in charge. Right. Good to know. Well, marksman. I've got two guys. Now I've got one guy. And now it's time to set off the signal fire. So I can't climb up there because I hit my head on the platform. And press B to ignite. And this animation is not as good as the previous game, because in the previous game you saw flags disappear that bore the Templars mark, and they were replaced with flags of the assassins, and so it felt almost comedically like the assassins were being were in no way a secret society anymore at all, and everybody in the city knew and loved them, which kind of seems like it's still the case, because you're purchasing all these stores. People are working with you. Everybody seems to know everything. Sure, they may not know their secrets, but treasure, and then some more stores, bookshops, and banks to unlock, and then coming back this direction is probably not a terrible move. There was no real challenge there. It seems like they pretty intentionally want you to do this. Now, after a certain point in the memory, I would heavily suspect you would run into... Who is that? That's glitching right there. Like, I imagine after some memory, all the areas are going to be taken over again, or maybe they'll introduce that mini game that we've seen before. Yeah, I believe that might be how it works. We've seen this mini game where you put assassins on rooftops and defend them against the marching armies of the Templars. I wouldn't be surprised if they eventually introduce the concept of having to hold and keep the areas that I'm liberating right now because of Templars coming to reclaim it. That would make it a good amount of sense. And it will also introduce the idea of just us playing the game a lot more than I probably would want to. Honestly though, I think the one-to-one or the feel of a city being as big as a real city is an oversold concept. It's not really what I want in video games. I don't want to see the boring parts of video games. And I don't want somebody to try and explain to me like how a character like Ezio spent every second of his time. This is not the bookstore. Bookstore must be somewhere on the other side. Complicated, curvy streets.
He must be
There's more of that multi-tiered design. It probably isn't realistic. I certainly wouldn't develop or construct a city with past so many stairs. Stairs are expensive. Doesn't help with moving goods. Doesn't help with moving horses. Doesn't really help that much with water flow. And I do believe we now have all of the books. Like, it seems a little weird. Seems a little weird we'd have all the books already. And almost all the treasure maps. And I can't afford it. I have money, but I can't afford it because I can't get the money out of the bank. That's annoying. Honestly, I guess that means I should ignore this stuff because there's tons of things that still need to be purchased over here, and just go to the sync point directly. By clearing the sync points and maybe clearing the Templar influence, it may not even be necessary to clear Templar influence, will at the very least know where the fast travel sections are, and by knowing where the fast travel sections are, when we come back and try to do some cleanup work, once we have a lot of money, it'll be quicker. Which building? That's some of these lines of dialogue are direct copies of lines of dialogue we've heard for 3 games now. Which, that's not a terrible thing. In a weird way, up until this point, I think it was Ubisoft's idea to just continuously iterate on an improved version of the previous games. Nowadays you see similar efforts in things like, well, Minecraft is a good example. There's probably a decent collection of bad examples out there too. Ark Survival Evolved, I would imagine, is a great bad example of games that just never finish. Things that are in early access on Steam forever and are constantly tweaking, adding more content. Yandere Simulator, which is a demo that will never actually stop being a demo because the creator changes his mind and polls the public as far as what they want, and spends too much time putting videos on YouTube talking about what he wants to do or what he is going to do, and not enough of his time actually working on the game. Honestly, after a while, it just became apparent he didn't have the mental... he just didn't have the attitude or mental capacity. Not to say he's stupid, but he just doesn't have a stick-to-itiveness enough to it. To stick with an idea, set down some parameters, and not change your mind after a certain point in the project. So he'll just constantly think he's making progress, but never really do it. Particularly since the game has already been banned on Twitch, and he's obsessed with getting the game on Twitch. Yeah, but then the iterations for the Assassin's Creed series stop here, and they do something almost completely different in 3. It's still the general gameplay mechanics, but you're in North America, you're in early colonial cities that don't have any buildings to climb on, so that element is gone. You don't have the Templar awareness. You're really not even doing too much with the Templars, I would say, at all. You spend a lot of time running through the forest. They were definitely trying to sell Assassin's Creed 3 as this game that you simply you ran through the trees, and you hunted animals, which, adding the hunting mechanic, was a very unwelcome addition to the Assassin's Creed series. The last thing this game needs is a new mechanic. It has too many already. Too many that they've tried, and too many that they've kept. Why did they attack me there? I guess maybe I was supposed to kill this guy. So I guess maybe the idea of the important people Templar informants, I guess that's what that was. And that reduced my notoriety by 50%, whereas bribing a herald only reduced it by a kind of pathetic 25%. So let's take a look here. We have 4,725 assassin bucks, and we can have 20,000, which means that I could roughly go for 4 cycles of 20 minutes and before it fills up. So that's 4 cycles of 20 minutes, 20, 40, 60, 80, that's an hour and 20 minutes, which means I'm perfectly well suited right now to, in the next recording, just go and do this memory. That's what they want me to do. That's going to be my goal. We'll fast travel to this tunnel entrance. I could certainly come back at a later time and get some of these collectibles and unlock more shops, but I think what we'll do is we'll do an hour of busy work and then an hour of gameplay. And frankly, it probably would only take 2 more hours to unlock everything and purchase everything, and I don't think there's ever going to be a point where I have to repurchase things. Now DNA wise, we're still at 11.41% sync. I doubt we'll get to 100% sync. It doesn't really matter to me, and we're already going a little late, so that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me, give me a game on Steam. That helps out more than watching ads. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.